we bring the meeting to order. All right. Pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So reviewing and adjusting our agenda.
One tape.
Full tape?
One tape. Keep
One
it short.
tape, okay. All right. Blah, 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 blah. I'll talk faster. So Shelley's here and she's on the agenda for the Rutland Region Report, but let's move that up. And then we're adding to that she was going to brief us on the River Corridor meeting from the other night.
So you want to do
So-
that right off the bat?
Yeah, we'll do that right off the bat and we'll add Shelley. The other thing that was potentially to put on the agenda was the issue with private property and the dump. I got back from the lawyer about that.
Oh, you did?
So I can, yeah.
Okay.
So we can add that. We have and also I thought maybe we should discuss dump day.
Yep.
Because I have an issue. We're losing some of our volunteers, mainly me. I can't be in the sun. So, and Gary, because he just did a hernia operation.
He's not gonna be lifting anything heavy.
No, and I thought we'd switch jobs and he'd take the money and I could lift, but I can't be outdoors.
Nope.
So, and then I didn't know if you wanted to add talking about the parking issue.
Yeah, and I got a couple other things, but I'll see how long I last before I
Okay,
get into
all
it.
right.
I got them
All
all
right.
on my phone.
Do you want to put
You Greg?
Paul?
Correct?
That?
Should we put Paul up?
No, just
Well,
go
we can
ahead.
put the road report up earlier in the meeting.
No,
in case
just
you
go
think.
ahead.
All right.
I'll butt in
right.
if we don't get to me.
So I guess I would love to hear a motion amending the agenda to add the river corridor and a brief conversation about dump day. And actually, let's just do the parking under the road thing, so we don't need to add that to the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Perfect, thank you. All right. Previous selectmen's minutes, did everybody have a chance to read over those?
No,
over
let me
those?
just-
I did. The only thing I had on that was,
Can't find them.
it was just that one contractor I had spoken to who said he couldn't get to it until November.
Oh, okay, I thought we fixed that already.
Oh, did we? I didn't see.
Town office renovations, only single bids, surviving replacement, appointing and painting. One carpenter would not be available until November.
Okay,
Yep,
that's fine.
Chris is on top of it.
Great.
All right. So I'd love to hear a motion.
So moved
Second,
to adopt the minutes.
to accept the minutes from June
I second it.
13th. Made and seconded by Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm staying out of it because I wasn't here for the whole meeting.
Okay, fair enough. All right. So 3 ayes and 1 abstention. Great. Let's see, is there a spot on these to sign them? There's not. That's confusing. I thought that's March, and this is May, so these are all I don't know. I'll sign this one anyway, and maybe we can get away with this. What's today's date? Must be
The
the
11th.
11th, thank you.
Paul, did you look over the standards?
No, I didn't. I
Okay.
didn't. With
Okay, so
everything going
next
on,
on
I
our
ain't been able to see
agenda.
nothing anyway.
That's
so.
fine.
Well, why don't we
I'm just trying to go over it and
put Shelley up
Okay.
next so that she doesn't have to
I
be
think
here all night?
most of it we're
And you have
doing
Greg,
that way.
great,
Okay.
fabulous.
Because,
We like that. Would you like to come be on?
So as you know, the public hearing took place on 6/24 at the school. And we had a grand total of 12 people, not including the 3 planning commission members. The concerns, they were pretty negative. I think pretty much all of them were negative comments. One was zoning, where the board that's bringing zoning into town. That was the #1 comment. There was concern about the administrative officer and a potential cost of $30,000 a year I'm not sure where that figure came from,
Oh,
but,
I think that, I don't think they threw out, and they were asking how much it would cost, but we had estimated that it would save us at least 30,000 a year. So we were calculating against that, and I think that the answer was that it would take somebody about 5 hours
5
a
hours a
month,
month.
and so you'd have to do a lot of hours to equal 30,000.
and there was talk about how much training it would take for this individual to actually be effective. There was concern from one gentleman about the 100-foot from the bank of the river rendering property useless, unbuildable. And he wanted to know if we had studied that, how many pieces of property in town that with this rule or these regulations render completely unusable. And we haven't. And that's what we told him. Scientific backing for one, I think it was Tom Fuller, wanted to know if we had any scientific backing for why was 100 feet better than 50 feet away from the bank of the river. Other than the obvious more distance away from the water and potential flooding, doesn't seem like rocket science, but we do not have scientific
So,
backing
yeah,
for
so
that.
your answer was that it was just based on observation and practicality.
Yes. And then there was questions about, do we even need the river corridor? And they would, let's see. The next question was, how much money are we going to have to pay back FEMA? The people that were there wanted exact figures. Lynn gave them figures that she had. But, the question was there. If we don't do this, if we don't adopt this, how much is it gonna cost us?
And what was that amount?
Well, we don't know, because it all depends on, like, the Parker Road grid.
We haven't done the Parker Road yet, so
Right.
what would it be today?
Right.
I
Oh,
think is what people wanna know. What is it today if we had to pay them back?
we'd have to sit down with Doug and figure it out, because it's the amount that came in from with the ERAF, the additional that comes from FEMA plus the state's additional amount. But I think, the answer that night was, it's not gonna break the bank. I mean, we could pay it back. It's not, at this point, that's not a,
Right, but that was the impression I got talking with Hilda after that meeting, is that people wanted to know what it was right here and now, with no further projects on it, what it would cost to pay it back.
the other thing that was on people's minds is, the other thing that came out as part of this discussion is that what the river corridor will save us is that it gives you the additional 7.5% on the ERAF. And it also, and I thought it was just that. And based on the kinds of events that we've had, like that July storm, where it's gonna end up potentially costing us $750,000, and so that will tell you, how much more we'd have to pay if we weren't getting that additional money. But I remember that Ed Bove explained also that on these grants that we get, and actually it's referred to in our Rivers and Standards thing that you're looking at right now, Steve, for the Class 2, I think it is municipal road grants, you get the extra percentage from the ERAF on all of those grants too. So every time we get a grant for all these projects we're doing, we'd have to pay more out of pocket for each of those.
Right. Just be aware, the question will be asked again at
Yeah.
your
Yeah,
public hearing.
we need to come up with that figure. Yep, absolutely.
For the record, what's it
ERAF, so that is the, help me. It's the, I can look it up, but I think you've got it right in front of,
Well, I haven't got to it if I've got it in front of me.
hold on a second. It is the,
Emergency Relief and Assistance Fund.
yes, thank you. That's exactly what it stands for. It's the Emergency Relief Assistance Fund, and it's the amount based on which the state and the federal government through FEMA will reimburse us in the event of a disaster. Yes, there's so many initials in this world.
And acronyms, gotta love them.
Yeah.
And I think the other 2 points that came up in discussion was, 1, how do we overturn this? And 2, why isn't this put up to the town for a town vote? And Lynn did a very nice explanation of, the fact that you are the elected officials. This is your job, basically, to put this stuff forward. And Ed Bove nicely explained to them how they could overturn it,
Right.
if that's what it comes to.
Right, there's a process. And one of the other things that I thought was really interesting about the meeting is that I thought that there were basically two or maybe three. I thought really there were two people who were very negative. And I thought that there were about, and there was one person who was very positive. And then the rest of them I thought were pretty neutral. I didn't hear
Yeah.
one way or the other. They were looking for information, which was great.
That was it, exactly.
Yeah.
They were there to find out. They were very interested in the maps, they were very
Yeah.
interested in the documents we had, and they asked a lot of questions before and after the meeting, and during.
Yeah, which was great. But the other thing that came up, which was fascinating, is that people said, people don't know about this, because if they did, the people who were worried about their property not being usable were saying if people knew about this, they'd all be here. And Shelley very rightly and Hilda pointed out that they had mailed a letter to every single property owner in town. So absolutely everybody in town knew that meeting was there, and only 12 people showed up. And 2 were terribly opposed, and the rest were, one was for, and the rest were just looking for information. And, I don't know, I gave as an example that, I think the statistics, you said that almost 90% of the properties in Danby sit on a river.
Some type of water.
Some type of water.
Via a seasonal stream, or, an actual river or stream, or brook.
Yeah,
It's a very well-watered town.
yeah. So they were saying if it's so well watered and it affects so many properties, why are so few people there? But I think that the answer might be that the same reason I was there really only because I'm the select board chair, and I felt that I should be there to get more information and learn more about what you all did. But, and my property abuts a stream, and it's a year-round stream, but the reality is that this won't in practicality change anything about my use of my property, because I would never build anything that close to the stream anyway, because it's an unstable bank and it's dangerous. It would be
Common
silly.
sense.
Yeah, it's just common sense.
Yeah.
And so I think that in a lot of cases, this isn't going to, affect people, because they would already be just impractical terms doing this for themselves.
Yeah, there was a little bit of discussion about alternatives, like, for instance, your place. Yes, you're probably closer than 100 feet, but you're at the top of a marble ledge. That's a whole different thing than, being 100 feet from, a river that goes through with just dirt banks.
Right.
And, Ed discussed that and the practicality.
Well, that's the big issue. Are we using flat maps or
No, they've adjusted for
topographic
those things.
maps?
They've adjusted, and it's a case-by-case consideration. So if your administrative officer, whoever that ends up being, walks out to your place and says, oh, well, it's
No flood issue.
it's no flood issue, it's 100 foot to the bottom of the river, but it's all marble ledge. But if they walk to my place and look, and I have a little meandering, brook that goes crazy once or 4 times a year, that's different. They would look at that and go, oh, no, you're not, you can't put it there, 100
And
feet.
there's a village exemption because of the village, so all these houses so the folks in the village, there's an exemption, for that. And then there's also, that if you have a building and if you're going to add on to your building, you just can't go closer to the stream than you already are, but you could still add on to either side of your building. So it's not like you couldn't do an addition on your building. Tom Fuller asked the question as to whether he'd need to get permission to re-roof his house. I was really glad he asked that question, because I didn't know the answer.
Right.
And Ed Bove said absolutely not, and there's a whole section I think it was on page 19 or section 19 or something, and it says, routine maintenance and maintaining what you've got there, no problem. You don't need to ask permission to do anything.
Right.
It's just for new structures. And even then, it's not that you couldn't build within the 100 foot. It's that you would be asked to build in a different way to make sure that building isn't going to end up going downstream and causing problems for other people. So it might be, what's the word, sonotubes, I guess, or I don't know.
Yeah.
On piers,
Stilts.
stilts, yeah. Thank you. I know these things, yeah.
So there was a lot of good information at the meeting. It's a shame that it wasn't better attended, because there was a lot of good information there, and there was the opportunity to ask the questions of the people who knew. And I mean, Ed Bove was there to answer the questions.
Yeah.
So hopefully you have a better turnout than at the planning commission.
Yeah, Yeah, well, so speaking to that end, when we need to set a date for our meeting, and we've gotta have this done by September, so, and we need 30 days to warn it.
I believe.
So maybe we can look at calendars. Oh, did I not bring my computer? I didn't know I brought this. Let's just pull up the calendar. So today is the
Gotta be able to see it.
11th. We need to be able to warn it, and today's Thursday. Janice might not get that out until Monday, because I'm not sure what her schedule is.
Should be in tomorrow.
Is she in tomorrow?
What's the last date?
Well, you mean well, we should get this wrapped up by September. So what if we went for like, August?
Can we do it as part of our regular meeting?
I was just gonna, well, we could, except I don't think we'll have time. I mean, I think it will, I think even with 12 people, the amount of questions and discussion generated for about an hour and 15 minutes of conversation, so.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's worthwhile to give it its own block of time. How about, well, why am I stumbling on August 22nd? I am.
What day of the week is that?
That's a Thursday. I just feel like there was something I just booked myself for on the 22nd. I don't remember if it was the daytime or evening. Obligation though. Maybe, how about, Tuesday, August 20th? Well, that's Tuesday's not good for Steve and for Doug. And select board should be here because it's technically, so the way the process works is that the planning commission's done their thing. Thank you very much. You've had your public meeting. Now it comes to the select board and we have a public meeting and we need to set a date. And then we also should decide whether or not we also want to mail something out to everybody. I mean,
I can do Tuesdays.
you could do
As long
Tuesdays,
as it's 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, okay. Is Doug's better day Wednesday or Tuesday? Could you do Wednesday?
Tuesday's cattle for him usually.
Which
Doug-
one? is
Doug's
Tuesday?
usually trucking Monday and Tuesday.
So what about Wednesday the 14th?
Sounds good.
All right, or, I mean, Wednesday the 21st.
Not good.
Well, which is it?
Wednesdays are not good for me.
Wednesdays aren't good for you? Okay.
Nothing unnecessary, but Wednesdays don't work for me either.
Okay, yeah, but it
I
would be
probably would
very
just
helpful to
assume-
have you there, because you've done so much with this.
I just as soon put it with our regular meeting. I
On the
really,
15th?
I really have a feeling that the questions have been asked and answered and, you know, there's not going to be a lot of questions. There might be statements. But I don't see it going an hour and a half just on that topic.
All depends. All depends. We can do it on the 15th. I think we probably need to plan for a venue a little bigger than here. So we'd have to see if the school's available, or maybe Bob would let us use his space. He's got a handicap accessibility now.
And at that point, we might be using that anyway.
That's true. We'll be under construction here potentially, yeah.
The other thing is Ed Bo. If you want Ed Bo, you need to
We
make
do
sure
want Ed.
that he has.
So let's pick a couple dates. Let's say the 15th, and since I don't know what it is that I've committed to on the
Well,
22nd,
15th would be out for me.
that would be out for you.
Yep.
Is that our
So
regular
let's
meeting?
go back to the 20th.
Is that our regular meeting, the 15th?
Yeah.
No, first.
Oh, actually, no, our regular meeting is the 8th.
Or 8th, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Beans. That's a tough one for me. I've got an all-day meeting
Well, the 8th would be too
in
soon.
Burlington. I'll be back for our meeting, but I'll be,
Oh,
so
that's
what if
true.
we go for the 20th, Tuesday the 20th? Because it seems like, and Doug drives, but he often can be back by 7. And he can come in a little
On the
later if he
average,
needs to. Yeah. Let's go for Tuesday the 20th, because we need time to get it warned and to find a venue. And so let's just say the 20th and make maybe the following week, the 27th, which is the following Tuesday, as an alternative in case Ed's not available on the 20th. All right. So it'll be either the 20th or the 27th, and we've got to check, I'll check with Ed, both. And actually, Ed was great to have, but somebody else, Barbara's done a lot of work on this too, right?
Barbara has.
Okay, so
Barbara
Ed or
has.
Barbara, we need, yeah.
Or, David, Barbara's boss.
Oh,
The
okay,
guy who does all the river corridor stuff.
okay. So we have 3 chances, so we can probably
That's at
get this
7?
on the 20th. Yes, we do it at 7 o'clock, and it will be either at the school or at, North Main, or South Main there, Bob Tobin's. He's offered that while this building's under construction, so. All right, great. And what do we think? Do we think we should mail something out? I mean, it costs, what, about
Is
200?
it gonna be worth it after you mailed all of them out before and you got 12 people?
I know. I don't
It's a
know.
damned if you do, damned if you don't.
That's,
type
it
of
is.
scenario.
It's exactly, it's classic.
I would
that.
just put it on front porch and in the news guy.
Yeah, 'cause the ones that don't show are
Posters in
gonna
our
be the
five
ones
places around
that are
town.
gonna be complaining 'cause they weren't notified. So,
That's what Shelley's
I
got it
would-
absolutely right. We're cooked either way. Yeah, we're cooked
and we
either way.
will broadcast it
Yeah,
on, once we're finalized on our August meeting.
yeah.
We'll let them know.
Well, we have to warn it in the paper, and so it will be warned in the paper and in 3 different places. Plus, you know, so it'll do the usual things. The only thing we're talking about not doing is mailing to everybody, and I don't know, so the advantage to mailing to everybody is that nobody can say they weren't told. And the way this process works, to remind you, so this is our meeting, public comes, they get to answer their questions, then it's up to us to vote. And so it's really a 5-person select board that will decide whether we would like to do this or not. Then if townspeople are basically in favor, then it goes on the books. If 5% of, I think it's 5%, yes, 5% of the population signs a petition to overturn it, then they can bring it to a town-wide vote. So there is a process, you know, for doing that. So the only advantage to maybe doing the mailer is that, you know, you get all the, you know, all the concerns, trying to get all the concerns out front so that we don't end up then passing it and then having to do a vote and all that.
What was the
expense.
cost of mailing out? roughly?
You'd have to ask Janice.
Oh,
I think-
okay.
Yeah,
it
I
was
think
200.
we
Why
estimated
don't
about,
you use your permit and do the bulk mailing?
you know, we thought of
And
that
I would
last time and
suggest-
Janice said we've let it go. We don't have one anymore.
Yeah.
You don't have one for the.
I don't think so.
You
Can we get
You
a,
can also do the EDM, that's every door direct mailing for at least the people in this town, and that's cheap.
every door
And
direct
that's a-
mailing?
You can do a big, it's a flat, so you can do it big. You need a lot of information on both sides, front and back. I don't know why you don't look into those things.
No, it sounds like a great
I mean,
idea.
it's, if you pay 55 cents for a letter, and I think a direct door mailing is 17.
Really? How do we go about it at the post
Go
office?
on to our website and you figure out what you want, or you can go to Express Copy, which are great people to deal with, and they'll help you do it for you, but it's cheaper than 55 cents.
Yeah, that's a third of this.
Yeah,
And at least you're gonna get other residents here.
right.
And
So
get-
it's less than a postcard and more space.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you can do, you can do the size of a flat,
yeah,
and you can get, you know, you put whatever you want on it.
yeah. So if we did 800, I don't have any idea how many every door is, but if 800 would be like $120. It's pretty
Yeah.
inexpensive. And I do think this is a big, you know, it's something we really want everybody to be behind. So, I think it's worth doing that, and I think we can warn it, get the warning out for 30 days, but if the mailer goes out later, it doesn't matter, because we will have technically done what we need to. So,
Is that the
so,
phone or that thing?
Doug's computer's getting ready to blow up.
yeah, something is. So, Margo, again, that was EDD mailing, is that what that's called?
It's EDDM, and you go on to www.usps.com. It'll tell you exactly how to go about it, and it'll tell you how many residents, how many you need.
Okay, great. Thank you
I
for
didn't
that.
know.
Thank you. Yeah, that came up at our last meeting about the bulk, and Janice said, didn't think we had one anymore, so.
So this is just as cheap.
Yeah.
And it's actually a better deal because you can do bigger.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, and you can both front and back.
yeah. Well, maybe we'll catch people's attention, whereas the letter, it was a well-done letter, but maybe it just got lost in people's mail. Anyway, I think it's worth making sure that we give the opportunity to have as much townwide discussion as we can about it.
I agree.
All right. Thank you, Shelley, that was very helpful. Now, Rutland Planning Commission report.
This is gonna be very brief.
Okay.
So at the Act 250 committee meeting, we talked about something very interesting. Solar arrays on the top of slate piles in West Pollitt. And apparently they have some on top of those slag piles. There are already solar arrays up there.
cool.
And they were putting in a new one. And Eric Mack, who was the chair of the Act 250 committee, he was very for it, and we voted to pass it along and say yes, and pass it along to the full board, and it was passed. There was a lot of talk about different cell towers, and they're towers, they're trees.
Yeah,
They're the fake trees.
the fake,
Yeah.
they're pretty obviously fake trees.
There was a little bit of chat about hemp farms and,
They're
stuff-
growing hemp everywhere.
They are. And there's a little bit of chat about the medical marijuana facilities, particularly the one over in West Pollitt. The one that's proposed to go in at the Leslie Iron Works site. And I guess they're looking at laboratories, seedlings, not dispensary,
Right.
but making the seedlings available to farmers, local farmers who want to get into medical marijuana.
Is that, so like Deer Flats there, is that medical marijuana that they're growing? Maybe it's
I'm not
CBD.
CBD.
Yeah, it's a CBD. It's the really low,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the one that has no TCH, THC,
Yeah, you're right.
whatever it is in there.
But I've seen field after field converted. Do you know what your farmer friends are doing? Like the Young Farm looks like they're putting in a whole field.
35 acres.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them doing it in the state of Vermont, and I think they'll be like the state of California, and they'll flood the market, and nobody will do it anymore.
Yeah, that's what I've kind of thought. I wonder where they're gonna sell
Yeah,
it, if they
up in
have a market
Florence.
for everything.
Went up there the other night.
Yeah, I mean, there's just,
hundreds and
if you look
hundreds of
at
acres of
farm
hemp.
fields that are now laying black plastic.
At least I
they're
think of them.
probably doing it.
So,
And it's all over. It drives, 22A, Route 7, you'll see it. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Very interesting.
So that was pretty much it for the Act 250 committee. At the full meeting, we talked, 3 different towns are doing river corridor public hearings around the same time we are.
Oh, which other towns? I'm just curious.
Gosh, I can't remember.
Oh, okay.
I didn't
can find
scratch it.
Yeah.
Hubbardton, I think, was one of them.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I'm pretty sure Hubbardton was one. And the only other thing was Mount Tabor is joining the Rutland Regional Planning Commission.
Oh,
I don't think it's happened yet, or it hadn't as of the last meeting.
but they're going to.
They are joining.
Okay.
And I will not be back to report until August,
Okay.
because actually September. We're off July and August,
Okay.
which is nice. And the Planning Commission is also off July and August.
Very good. Okay.
That's all I got.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley.
You're welcome. On that note,
Can't say blame you.
I appreciate that.
Sheriff's contract is up next on our agenda. So to review and sign if we feel like it, the sheriff's contract. I did do the numbers real quick. It's $20,793. That's a pretty negligible difference from last year, so it's not a huge difference. So it's $39.93 an hour, and that's 10 hours a week for 52 weeks a year, so double check my math. And everything else about the contract appears to be the same. I know that, I know Brad's had, some disappointment with feeling that he's not getting the response that he'd like to. I recently had, I don't want to go into detail with it but there was an animal case that, sheriff was very responsive for recently, which was, a tricky one and still going on, I think. That's why I don't want to talk about it. So I don't know, my own feeling is that I always wish we could get it for less, and I sure wish we still had Trooper Hunter or Ed Hunter, because I thought he was terrific for our community. Justin's a nice young man, but I don't think he has the breadth of experience and knowledge of the community that
Well, I've talked to
Hunter
him
did.
the last 2 days. He's been in town, traffic and drug thing on Scottsville. I ran into him both days, and he seems to be getting into it now that he knows he's gonna be here, not just temporarily.
Oh, good.
Pretty much full-time.
Good.
And he's starting to get into it.
He responded within like 3 hours for
Yep.
the panel. I mean, he was very responsive for that. And so but I know he's not always responsive, and it's not, I mean, not just him, it's just that, he has other obligations.
Right.
And sometimes he can't be, but I guess it comes down for me that from what I hear from people in town who've elected me is that, you know, they just feel it's very important to have some law enforcement in town, and it's hard to tell people that we're not gonna have any law enforcement. So I'm inclined to sign it. Anybody wanna make a motion, then we can discuss it more?
I'll
or-
make the motion, we sign it.
All right,
Second it.
Just any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
abstain.
One abstained. 3-4, one abstained. Today, somebody told me the date, it's the 11th, right?
Yep.
Pass her that way. So, next up is our, update on our town office. Go Brad.
Okay, we have been very busy. Our committee met on Monday, and we have some recommendations for the board. Actually, take one and pass. The first is the carpentry. We contacted 6 local people who all declined. We contacted a Wallingford firm who spent a lot of time with me looking at it and then declined to bid. And we wound up with 3 bids. And after reviewing the bids with the committee, we would like to recommend Tom Phillips and Sons Construction from Wallingford. And he is giving a bid of $34,200 for the floor and the renovation next door. And he finally got with the plumber today and came up with the final numbers on the handicap bathroom of $10,000. So it would be a contract of $44,200 for Mr. Phillips.
And I was very pleased that he actually crawled all the way underneath this floor
He did.
and actually checked out
I
the
would-
joists, so
I
that,
would like
yeah.
to share with you and our public really how good it is down there. This
is.
building is literally built like Noah's Ark. There is a main carrying beam under the center there that is sitting on a notch in the stone foundation. And the joists, which run this way, east and west, are mortised into that. 5 of the joists, however, are broken. They have cracks in them, but it's not so serious. He felt that they can't sister it by putting pieces on both sides. The good news is our heat pipes from our new furnace are all insulated. Other good news is that it's just as dry as a bone down there. There is no moisture. This is the most severely cracked joist. And there's 5 altogether that are cracked. The area underneath the bathroom and underneath the boiler will need more support. They're pretty spongy from condensation from the toilet and so forth.
Got any hay down?
And there is one of the supports, the carrying beams are supported by posts that are on flat rocks. There is one that is tipped slightly, and there is another that for some reason has been knocked over. So he will jack it up, straighten those out. This is the one that's knocked over. I have no idea how that could have happened, but that's the fact. So it's good to know that, you know, he investigated everything. There is no issue with that corner. Appears to be just a square downstairs in the crawl space as it does on the outside.
And there's not rot. It's
And there
it's
is
good
no
wood.
rot.
So we've got good bones to work with.
Yep. So we did get the 3 estimates.
So the other thing about TJ is that he can start when?
He can start in 3 weeks.
Who's that?
So there's
Tom Phillips.
Tom Phillips
Okay.
from
He,
Wallingford.
he's very experienced, been at it for a long time. He built the Red Lobster up in Rutland, the Hampton Inn in Rutland and Manchester, the J. Crew outlet section down there in Manchester, many custom homes, including one up here on Staples Road. And what he's recommending for the floor here is a pre-finished oak floor rather than a laminate, so that if it does ever need to be sanded, it can be sanded and redone. Whereas the laminate, if something gets damaged 5 years from now, you probably won't be able to get that same color and whatnot. It's just like wallpaper or anything
We
else.
currently have fir, and we did discuss whether or not, but we don't know that this is historically, we don't know when this fir was put down, we don't know what was originally here. And I think the benefit of oak, if I'm remembering right, is that it's a much harder wood and just will last a lot longer with the heavy traffic use that we have.
So what they would do is screw what's here very extensively, I won't use this exact term, and then they would put plywood over that, and then they will put down the oak floor, and that will go throughout this room. We can talk about if we want it in the bathroom or if we want linoleum in there, and right on through the town clerk's office, so everything will be at the same level, all looking the same. So I would be willing to make a motion to award the carpentry contract in the amount of $44,200 to TJ Phillips and Sons Construction.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Any questions from anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. All
Okay.
right, moving on.
Now, the masonry, we had 3 estimates, and we contacted some other people that either did not get back to us or were too far out. One was ridiculously low, one was ridiculously high, like 4 times the amount of the one that we're going to recommend, which is Martin Coleman of Mount Tabor, for a maximum of $16,000 to repoint the building.
So that's all the masonry between the stones where it's all cracked and needs to be
He will
redone.
grind all of the old stuff out, remortar it.
Well, I see the work he did at the library, and he did a fantastic job at the
Okay.
library.
Good.
And again, he works in a very clean and neat manner.
So, anybody want to make a motion to award the masonry contract to?
I'll make it.
There we go. Do I
I
hear a
second
second?
it.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great.
Okay, so we also have somewhere in the neighborhood of 30, perhaps as many as 50 slate that need to be replaced or rehooked on the roof as
Oh,
well.
Wait, back up just a minute. Is TJ's company, the, from Wallingford, also doing the, I'm not
Trusses?
sure, the trusses, thank you.
He looked at those and he felt that we are in good shape there,
Okay.
that nothing needs to be done.
Okay, all right.
So, we have some slate work that needs to be done on the roof. The corner of the eaves over above the vault and that corner where they come together is all rotten, so that needs to be cut out and replaced. And the trim up around the eaves and whatnot, scraped, primed, painted, as well as the metal snow guard that goes across the front and the back of the building. We had 3 estimates, and we had some other people that looked at it and declined. And the committee reviewed this, and we would like to award this to Paul Short for an amount not to exceed $4,000. He's basically doing it for $30 a slate, and his other men will do the painting and whatnot. We will be supplying the paint. That's a quote for labor, and he includes the replacement slate. He has the slate.
Anybody want to make a motion
Yeah.
about that recommendation?
I'll make the motion.
And a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? I'm not familiar with Paul's work, so, but other people
Well,
are.
and he just painted the Pearl Buck House here. I mean, I'm sure you've been by that a few times.
Oh, the one,
Right
the
across
old
the
Pearl Buck
street,
House. Oh, I hadn't noticed that.
Yep.
And I think he did work for Bob Tobin.
He did work for Bob Tobin. He's done work for houses that I caretake,
Yep.
and everybody.
So one thing for him,
Please
as well as
display.
everybody else, we will need insurance certificates.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, well, all in favor of awarding the bid to Paul Short?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. And then, we did that last time.
The windows we did last
we
time,
voted
but
those
you're,
out, yeah.
you're skipping ahead on me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah.
We have called 3 contractors, one of whom couldn't get to it until next year, 2 of whom did not call back. We called them 2 times. And we have a local man who's well-known, Manny Sendra, and he has asked that we not publicly divulge the price that he will charge the town, because he's doing the town a real favor.
Fair enough.
And you have it in front of you. I realize that it is, it will be public knowledge at a later date if somebody chooses to
Right.
look through the records, but he doesn't want to jeopardize other clients by
Yeah.
saying, oh, well, you
Sure.
did the town a favor, do us a favor. And again, this would be a not to exceed amount, and we would be supplying the material. And when I put that amount in there, I figured in us supplying the material, so his labor would be less than that.
So what exactly is he painting?
He is doing this room.
Okay.
And that room, and if we, find that the vinyl that they're putting as trim around the outside windows needs to be done, the front door.
So when you say this room, so the wood trim, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Has there been any discussion about the wallpaper in here? and
Oh,
what
yeah,
To do with the
yeah,
walls?
that's going.
That's gonna go, and so the walls will be painted
The
and
walls
fresh
will
and
be
clean.
painted, and he will do whatever spackling or whatever needs to be done. Mr. Phillips, nobody can figure out why that window looks crooked, so he's just gonna make a new piece of wood that looks straight and replace the part underneath there where the board cracked, so that will look good.
Yeah. I never noticed it, but it does look.
Yeah, but it's perfectly level on the bottom, it's just a very
We're
odd.
crooked when I was in 7th and 8th grade here.
Because you were looking out
You were
the window.
supposed to be looking at
Oh,
the
out,
board,
not-
Paul.
okay.
Yeah, he was looking out, he wasn't looking up.
Can I hear a
No, we're
motion?
looking this way.
I'll make the motion.
Okay,
I
so we got
second
a
it.
motion to award the painting to El Sendra. You got
I
a
second
second?
it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good.
And the windows we already did. The good news is I spoke with them, and they hope to install them the last week of July.
Right.
So that's moving right along. Now, we need to figure out, Pam Fuller has volunteered to let us use Nichols Store to house the listing office and
Very
anything
generous.
else that needs to be moved down there during the period of construction, but we need to decide how that's going to happen. So I have to ask Paul what the road crew schedule is, if they might be able to do it, or do we need to hire something like Todd Transportation to come move it?
What do you need from me?
The
road crew.
road crew be
Oh,
able
yeah,
to load all the
Take 'em.
filing cabinets and whatnot on the trailer and take them down the hill?
yeah, sure,
Put them in?
sure.
Okay, so that's great. That answers that question.
We got, I assume we got some, well, we can get some decent dollies, so they ain't,
Yeah,
yeah, that's fine.
and,
If you need a lower trailer, they can come get my cattle trailer.
okay,
Yeah, I was gonna
They
say
can
they
get my
can borrow
truck in
'em.
the trailer and
Yeah.
okay,
take everything in probably one load.
I
awesome.
got one trailer that's got regular loading ramps. You can run the dollies right up if they wanna use that.
So, you've got two
You got
options.
two options that'll work well, so.
So I would say, let's do that sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm.
I'll call Pam and, see when she can have the store rearranged to
Yeah.
do that.
Okay.
And then there is going to be some work involved cleaning out these closets. We do have dump day coming up, but I don't know how you want to handle that. I personally don't feel that it's fair to just ask people to volunteer to do it, but, if
To clean out the closets that have built up over years and years.
What are we cleaning out in the closets? What's in?
Yeah,
Oh, there's, well, take a peek in the closet. This closet doesn't have a whole lot of stuff in it. I threw a lot of it out, but that closet has, all kinds of
Christmas
ancient
decorations from 1952.
and,
Sell 'em.
They were paper, the mice.
there's a lot of, some of the books need to be retained. They're old, personal property inventories and whatnot.
Janice talked to me about
So-
those recently and getting some of them, they need to go out and get rebound and stuff. So she was looking at that.
Did she indicate if she's just willing to do all of that?
I
or-
think she was gonna get them bound. The
Okay.
problem was trying to get 3 bids, because there just isn't that many people who do that work now, and I guess there's a firm that other towns and people sort of regularly use. And so last I talked to her, she was gonna get a price on that, because I was like, well, I don't know if it's gonna be outside of what our bid, let's see what the price is. If we really can't get other bids, let's at least know what it is that might be approving without 3 bids.
Okay, well, my point is
She's
that.
she's working on it.
That it's, cleaning out the closets is over and above the scope of the work normally performed by the town clerk. And I would think that,
Well, maybe we can get some people to help move things, but
Should either
truly,
do
it's going to
that
be
or-
Janice and her that are gonna decide what stays
Right.
and goes. So
right.
I think
But
it's gotta be
it's kind
that.
of like an overtime situation, I'm thinking.
Hmm.
I think we should offer some kind of a,
We've got an assistant clerk for 24 hours a week, when most towns have them for 2.
okay, well,
I don't know.
I'm making the statement, I'm one of 4
Yeah.
people here this evening.
And I don't have an issue paying somebody else to go through that mouse infested mess.
I don't have an issue with that. I do think we need Janice and/or,
Right.
really, it's probably Janice. She's the one with the history.
She needs to oversee it.
And I think she'd be terrified to think that we'd go through and throw things out without talking to her. I think that would be horrible.
Well, I would not.
I know, that's what I'm saying, is I think she'll wanna be there.
I'm just saying that I feel that it's overtime on the town clerk's part and that there should be.
Well, why don't we discuss it with
some
them and
kind of
see, I mean,
something.
and it's kind of the stuff that's built up over the years of the work that's been in that office, and so they
Right.
probably have the best idea about how to tackle
yeah.
it. So let's ask them.
Okay.
Let's get their advice.
And the other thing is, we did test the insulation that's up in the attic to see whether or not it contained asbestos, and it does in fact. And as far as the state of Vermont is concerned, since we're not doing any work up there to disturb it, we don't have to do anything about it. However, the majority of the committee felt that since we're doing all this renovation work, that this would be a good time to get it all out of there. So I've done some calling around, and just based on the number of square feet that we have, the rough estimates over the telephone, because I didn't want to drag people down here if we're not going to do it, range from $15,000 to $30,000.
The other day it was 6. How did we double?
Yeah, well, that, I don't know who that firm was. That was the firm that remediated the asbestos in the Hinman trailer after Irene. And I don't know that we had the results of the test back when Janice called them to see if they would be interested in it, and I don't know that she gave them square feet.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we can.
So we can
this
fine
is
tune
this
this
is a
out, but we
whole
don't
thing
need to
that we
decide this right now.
right. This
Yeah.
is a whole thing that I just want to get a feeling. Does the board
Yeah.
want to do this
Yeah.
or not? And then I will go forth with, if we can do it
Yeah.
for 6, that's all the better.
So
But
the
it's a
issue is
substantial
that,
chunk of money.
that supposedly it undisturbed, it's not a problem, and it's insulation. I think that's some of the cost is, we can remove it, but then we have to replace with some other insulation.
My
And,
question would be, if we're not disturbing it, could we get somebody in here to blow that foam insulation right over top of it and leave it? Cause then that would seal it up so you wouldn't get,
Encapsulate it.
that's right.
A
It
lot-
would,
lot
it would
cheaper.
probably cost us less than the removal, plus we'd have extra insulation on top of it.
I can look into that.
so, are we reasonably sure that there's, I mean, what's above that? And is there any chance that that dust is leaking down here, or? How well sealed is, so I love the idea of more insulation and putting something on top. I'm wondering what the underlayer is coming down,
I don't know.
you know?
The person who took the samples did not paw through the
Yeah.
the suspect insulation to see.
Well, why don't we, I think
And what
that's
they
an
would
interesting
do
suggestion,
is-
and let's get some costs, prices
Yeah,
on that
if
and
they
see
do,
if somebody would do that.
if they do vacuum that out, which is essentially
Yeah.
what happens, what they would have to do, what they would do is take it out the 2 gable
Sure.
windows, and they would build scaffolding, and all that has to be covered with plastic and the whole wash booth and all that business. So that's how it becomes quite costly.
Right.
That's pre-foam. That's the quickest way to do it.
I think so.
Why take the other stuff out and make a mess?
It seals it as long as we don't ever have to mess with this, and,
How many years this ain't been messed with?
it's
I
lovely
mean,
sealing.
it's held together for,
Well, but I see issues, and I don't know what those are. Why?
Well,
do
the
those-
option then would be to put in a drop ceiling right to the height to the windows.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what we wanted to stay away from.
Yeah, I mean, this is lovely antique.
Yes,
old.
we're staying away from it now, but if we run into issues,
Right, right.
it's an option.
And the other thing,
So my ceiling is plenty of
as
room.
far as options, I would like to see us replace these fluorescent lights with the LED lights. I don't know if anybody's been in White's Fuel Stop lately, but I went in there the other day and I said, "Why is it so bright in here?" And he said, "Oh, we replaced all the fluorescents with LED." So it's money saving, of course, and provides more light. So I would hope that we would have a little money left over
Maybe
to
down,
do that as
down
well.
the road, yeah. I mean, right now, our total comes to 8156, and that's over what we have currently in the budget,
No.
isn't it?
No.
I thought we were down to 69,000.
No. No, I gave you that figure the other day.
I know,
We had
that's right.
we had 90 something, and then we were getting more as of July 1st.
Okay, And I do think that, some of the, as Doug and I have talked, that some portion, not all, but some of the money that's come in from delinquent tax sales could potentially go towards this too. So I think that there may be enough to do the asbestos removal if we wanted to, but I like the idea that that might work. I just think we need to find out more information about the pros and cons of sealing it. The concern was that if there's at all any risk of a health concern for people in the building, then we feel we need to address it. So we just need to find out more about that.
I think there'd be more of a health concern if, once you start stirring that up there, even if they're sucking it out.
Well,
Have that
they
dust.
professionally do that, and nobody would be here when that happened, so. Yeah, I don't know. All I know is that they do it, I've seen them do it at the university all the time, it's
Well, I
big, but it's.
know Bob has used a company that sprays in the foam for both the house up
Yep.
on Raymond Road and here, so we
We can
can talk to
ask
him
them,
about
yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea. All right, so we've approved these, and we'll leave
Mm-hmm.
the committee to go back and get more information on asbestos.
Yep,
All right,
and I will tell these gentlemen to proceed and get us their insurance
sounds great.
certificates.
Thank you, Brad.
You're welcome.
Are you fading fast? Should we do bids before we do other business?
Oh, keep going.
Okay.
I'll let you know when my head hits the table.
all right.
I'll be ready.
So we have an offer,
tape holding out?
on the tax sale property, located at 267 Walnut Drive, which actually, that is the, let me find my documents here. So that's actually, that's Kelly Hill. It's Clinton Ironman's property. And I have not seen the offer in writing yet, but I have heard from, Jonathan and Liz Ironman, that they would be making an offer of essentially $29,000. It's $26,500 plus the difference between the 26.5 and the 29 would be applied to taxes in 2019, I think. I asked Doug White if that makes us whole on that property, and he said that because there's all kinds of interest and stuff rolled in on that, we're not gonna be losing any money on that. And my own feeling, for what it's worth, is that a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. If they're willing to purchase that, and I think you all know where it's located, that it's surrounded by lands owned by family, so it makes sense that it would stay in the family and go to them. And so, what has been suggested is that we, vote to this, so this would be, now comes the town of Danby, and pursuant to requirements of 24 VSA 1061, the select board at its meeting, which we would date today, appoint, and we can appoint anybody, but John Thrasher put my name in here because I've been dealing with it, it's up to you all, but appoint Lynn Bondurant, the chair, to sign any and all paperwork, including but not limited to purchase and sale agreements, deeds, and other paperwork necessary to convey the real property formerly belonging to Clinton Ironman, located on Kelly Hill, Danby, Vermont, and purchased by the town at tax sale. So if we are going to be willing to accept that number, the 26.5 plus the 1,500, is that right, 26.5, and to bring it to 2,500 for the taxes, then we could authorize me to sign, and then that way this can move forward as quickly as possible. How do people, anybody want to make a motion
I'll
to
make
do
a
this? And
I'll second it.
And any discussion?
The motion is to accept the offer and/or to have you.
Yes, it's probably it's to accept the offer and to authorize me to sign the paperwork. Yeah. I'm happy to let you see the copy of what that language is if it helps, Chris. So, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Great. Motion carries. And then our next piece of property, which will be a piece of paper just like that, Chris, only with a different address. This is the property located at 2779 Tinmouth Road, the Fitzgerald property. And this we do actually have a purchase and sale contract on, came through just before I came to the meeting. So the way this deal is working, there are actually to sellers. The town's selling and Bob is selling. The town will get the monies owed to it for its taxes and interest and all of that, which is roughly 37.5, but who knows once, lawyers' fees and things get wrapped into that. And then the balance between that and 125,000 will go to Bob Fitzgerald. So he has some money for his property, which sounds like a great deal all along. And there's a purchase and sales contract and also they've looked at the real property that's there, and that he and the buyers have, worked out, this deal. The buyers would like to close as soon as possible, so we went ahead and warned this because we have the 30-day warning. And it's, really the only reason somebody would contest this sale would be if we weren't getting our full money's worth, and we're getting our full money's worth, and thank heavens Bob's getting some value so that he can relocate. But we did warn it as of the 9th, so the earliest I think the closing could happen is the 9th. And I know that the buyer is anxious to do that because there's work that has to be done on the house to get it ready for winter, and that's a requirement, I think, of the deal. So I guess I'd be looking for a motion to approve the sale of 2779 Danby, Tinmouth Road to the, let's see, their names are Mickey and Laura Brubaker. And so to approve the sale of that for 125,000, and also to authorize me to sign all paperwork. We can sign this tonight, the purchase and sale, but then there'll be other deeds and things at the closing.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. So,
So the total amount is 125, of which 30, about 30.
roughly 37.5 will come to that. Basically, the town will be paid everything that it is owed in back taxes, and the balance will all go to Bob. And of course, lawyers will get their share in there somewhere. Okay, so I can sign these, and this paperwork is exactly identical to that, only with a different address. If you'd like to look at that too, Chris, it's right here. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and sign this right now, because I think this might require, well, it looks like Town of Danby by its Ray Fitzgerald, Natalie Fitzgerald, and, all right, so it looks like I'll just sign it. Today's date again is the 11th. Don't know why I can't hang on. It's the Lyme.
Told you that before.
Lyme brain. Oh, all right. Okay. So we've got those two, and okay. We're getting on to road commissioner type things. We want to jump and do the review of the town road bridges and standards, and because this we have to accept. So the dates on this, so what this is the existing January 2013 template for roads and bridges standards expires in July 31st, so like at the end of this month, which is why I think we have to do something today. After that date, that version of the town and road bridges standards will no longer be considered the state-approved template.
I don't have any more tapes.
All right,
Meeting's done.
meeting's done. You just have to take really good notes, Chris. Consequently, we would like to strongly encourage all municipalities to consider adopting new 2019 town road and bridges standards template prior to August 1st. So, we're not having a meeting again until after August 1st, so. They do say here that the attached state-approved town bridges has 7 sections. Sections 1 and 2 are required for connected roads, and section 3 required for all bridges and culverts. The others are optional, but they encourage us to sign yes on any of them that we, who has the original? You've got the original? That's the
Yeah.
one, that's the one we'll want to sign.
And I would make the motion that we don't do anything on this until at least me and Paul have discussed it, or me and Charlie Bush have discussed it, because there's stuff on here that I don't want to put my name to until I've discussed it with Charlie.
I agree. Till
Okay.
my eyes come back.
Oh, well, we,
'Cause,
yeah.
you know, it gets in the class 4 roads, which some of the class 4 roads we got, we're gonna get into an argument if we go up there and start working on them.
Yep.
And-
Is that the section, oh yeah, that's section 2.
That's,
That's the one, that's one of the
I'd
ones
just
we
like
have
to
to
go over
approve.
everything with Charlie first, or sit down with Paul and go over everything,
Okay.
so that we're all on the same page and make sure that we, as a group, as
Okay.
the road crew, understand what we're getting into
Yeah.
before we say yes.
Yeah, and they had that big issue over in Hubbardton or something about
And there you go.
Well, so, I think that's a great idea. I noticed, and so I bring it to your attention to talk about, I noticed that on the part that we don't have to accept, I don't think, but it's the roadway construction standards. They talk about when roads are graded, not having dirt piles on the side of the roads so that water can go off, and I know that we do a lot, and so that was something that I thought at least one thing I noticed that should be talked about, and I'm sure there's more, so I just bring that to your attention.
Well, I know part of the dirt piles on the road issue we've got is the fact that we're using the York rake again. Because if you watch them, they put a crown in the road with the grader, and then they go through with the York rake to get the stones off, and they push all that dirt right back out to the edges. But to me, the York rake is something that we shouldn't use unless it's
Yeah.
dire straits.
Yeah, I think we've got an issue with that, because water's running down the road beds instead of running off the road beds, and not
I
just,
put water bars in our road.
yeah. I'm not surprised, I've done the same thing on my road. I wouldn't have a road. So how about if we, I might suggest that we pass a motion that says that we authorize, Paul as road commissioner to sign this after he and Steve and Charlie talk, and that, I mean, I'm not feeling like I need to be involved more, but we have to make that August 1st deadline, so I didn't want to have another meeting. How do you feel about that?
I just assume
Works for me.
All right, so would you make the motion, so I?
Sure, I make a motion to have Paul and, does it need the 2 signatures?
Let's look. Select board, it's actually, we'll need 3. So somebody else would have to come in and sign it, when they tell us to, but we don't need to have a meeting
To
to
have
do it.
Paul and Steve review it, and if it meets with their, and Charlie review it, and if it meets with their approval, to proceed with signing.
Perfect. Did you get that, Chris?
Yeah, there were 2 motions that were not passed, and this one is pending.
Pending. Right, so the motion is that we authorize, Steve and, Paul to review this with Charlie, and if, when they have, filled it out accordingly, that then we will sign it.
And the select board will sign it.
Yeah, so select board members will sign it. We can just come into the office and
Yeah.
sign it. We don't need to have another meeting. It's outside of my, and this is, you've got the original, so this was my copy. I'll hang on to this. Okay.
Is there a second?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, that, we had the motion,
I'll
second.
second it.
Paul seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. Thank you. Thanks, Chris, for keeping us on track. We've got bids up next. Ouch. Parker Road. Danby Mountain Culvert. That looks like. Request. for-
When do you want to do it, Paul?
Tell me.
Thank you.
You got the busier schedule than I do.
Not, oh, there's the, no, that's, oh, there we go.
Tomorrow at 9? Will that work for Charlie?
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
No, I got
Okay.
appointments all day tomorrow.
Okay.
I didn't mean it that way. I thought it was gonna be next week, but,
Right by Ruth's old house.
let me see what I
Yes,
got.
I know, I still call it Ruth's house too. It looks like we have only one bid.
Let me see what I got here.
and stuff.
Before we move on, is that for the entire, road and bridge standards or just one or two?
They're gonna review it for the entire standards. What it is that the state says we have to approve 1, 2, and one other section.
Before
But they're
they
gonna
head
review the
out
entire
work,
thing.
how?
The rest of them are
Monday morning,
optional.
Are you, how long are you gonna be in the barn, or is the morning better, or afternoon, or?
Small
Monday's
print.
not my day usually to mow, or brush hog, but,
I could probably be down here by 8 Monday.
Okay.
So this is from Daniel's.
I don't know what time they
They
usually
list their
start.
qualifications.
7:30?
We know they're
yeah, usually, but I can hold
qualified.
Charlie back. Usually, yeah, if you wanna do that like Monday at 8.
Okay.
Alright. So it looks like we have only one bid on, Danby
15.
Mountain Culvert. Does that sound right to you, Paul, that we have only one bid?
I don't know, I didn't,
Let me just make sure nothing snuck in here.
I knew,
Looks like we've got 2 bids on that, but it looks like we only have 1 bid on the Danby, the Danby Mountain Road. Remove and replace the existing structure, twin culverts, there's 2 there now, with a new precast concrete box culvert having a clear span of 16 feet and a rise of 6 feet, 2 feet of type E2 stream bed material will be placed inside the box culvert, resulting in a clear height of 4 feet. Pro structure will be properly lined with the stream and its ends will be skewed to match the roadway. Precast concrete wing walls will be installed at each corner of the structure, 4 total flared out 45 degrees from the roadway. Sheet membranes waterproofing will be placed over the joints. Included in this proposal are all incidentals such as mobilization, traffic control, erosion control, clearing and grubbing, cofferdams, excavation, dewatering, granular backfill, channel reconstruction, E2 stream bed material, bank reconstruction utilizing type 2 stone fill and grubbings, roadway gravel, and site restoration. The proposed bridge structure shall be designed to AAH TOHL-93 mode requirements and will have a 100-year design life. All work shall be performed in accordance with V-Trans 2011 standard specifications for construction and all applicable OSHA, VOSHA, and environmental regulations. We propose to furnish materials, equipment, and labor complete in accordance with the above specifications for the sum of $216,875. Anybody remember what we've got for grant for this?
better put this on my calendar.
The invitation, request, all right, 1 second. It's just another copy of the same thing. I wonder why Ashley Waite
Yeah.
didn't bid on this.
I don't know, that's what I was wondering, cause I know 2 other people that were gonna put bids on it, but
This didn't require the same engineering, did it, that the Parker Road did?
I don't believe so. I know 2 people that, other than, Daniels.
And now I'm wishing I
Well, I
hadn't
had
set
asked
the
about
amount
putting bids
because
on.
maybe, but we also have a time deadline on this. Big time. It's Parker Road,
Oh, that's who she
yeah.
sent them to.
So what I'm not finding in here is,
Who was sent out the bids to?
no, well, yeah, but I also, so we have a bid amount, but I don't know what did we, I don't know what we budgeted our share to be? Do you know what I'm saying? In other words, does that come in, I think we have a grant to do this, don't we? And do you know what the grant amount is for? And I would
Not really.
have thought I would have had that, but I didn't see. You can glance through that stuff and see if you see anything that's, I don't see a grant award in there. I'm trying to think if we have it in our, budget. Um, where would it be? So projects, but we. Lily Hill Bridge, Pollitt Road.
Nothing about grant.
Do you think Charlie would know? Is it worth trying to get him on the
Yeah,
phone?
he's been more on top of it.
Want to give him a call and see if he can? You can't see.
You wanna talk to his wife?
Oh,
Um,
I can call him. I think I've got my phone, don't I? Could have sworn I brought it in with me. Hold on a second.
That's under there.
There it is.
770-9049.
Now the whole town knows. Just kidding. Strike that.
Good luck. Tell him there's a tree down.
That would be cruel. Hi, this is Lynn. I was looking for Charlie. I had a quick question for him. We're in our select board meeting. Is he available? Thank you. Hey, Charlie, it's Lynn. Can you remind me how much the grant was for the Danby Mountain Road culvert? You think it's 160? That's, do you have that information here that you, so the problem is that, yeah, it's difficult for us to make any decisions without having that number. So I hate to ask you to come down, but I don't know, unless he's willing to come down, should we have him come down? Because we've also got the Parker Road. Yeah, you know what, Charlie, these are big decisions. It would be great if you could be here. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. All right, bye-bye. He offered, I feel terrible, but. All right, so let's go on with other business for a minute, and, do you want to, talk about some of the, other things? So we had on here, the parking issue?
Oh, okay, hold on, I got everything down. I did make some notes today. Alright, first, roadside mowing got delayed this year because the tractor, the housing broke on the rear end and ended up had to get a new housing, ordered for it, and they are working on it, and hopefully we'll have it here next week and start on the roadside mowing. The grant project on Lily Hill got held up this week because SLC didn't have the wrap material the right size that we needed to do the banks and stuff. So that one got put on hold. And we've got to deal with a parking issue at the Congregational Church on not so much church day, but AA night on Wednesdays. I got a call last night at 9 o'clock. People were parked on the lawns, or parked on both sides of the roads. And there was also a truck parked in a private parking lot. And so when Tom Fuller was there, we addressed the issue on parking on the Silas
I spoke with them too.
side, and they did put up no parking signs, and they kinda held, not doing it, but now they're getting back to parking anywhere they want, so I think probably the first thing in my mind is to get a hold of whoever's in charge of AA and try to talk to them and see if we can stop them from parking, especially in a private parking lot. And then stop parking on the other side of the road, because it's just, we've got more kids now, especially this year, I've been seeing more kids on bicycles. And by them parking both sides, the way they fly down that road, it's just a matter of time for, you know, there's only room for one car to go through. They come over that hill, especially coming from the south, and it's blind, and, I don't wanna see a kid get hit or, run into another car, so I'm not gonna bring it to the sheriff yet, but I just think we should probably talk to whoever's in charge of AA and see if they can resolve the problem.
It's
Why?
it's reasonable for them to park down below,
Right.
right?
And that's where the no parking sign is, so I
Where's the
don't,
no parking sign?
right here.
Oh, on that side, yeah, I see it.
But
So-
last night, there was two of them parked in between the no parking signs.
Yeah, so
which-
those are illegal.
Yeah, and the person that called me, her parking lot to her garage was blocked by a brand new truck. So the other person went over and asked whose it was, and kinda got a sarcastic remark of, "Oh, am I blocking somebody's driveway?" Well, that really
I guess
wasn't
so.
the response that they wanted, so.
They're not blocking, they're parking in, they parked in somebody's driveway.
Oh, right in the
Right in
driveway.
front of her garage door.
So, I don't know, I'm just looking, you think we should follow that route and find out who's in charge?
I think that's a good
And
idea.
talk to them
and-
first rather than
and-
get the sheriff? Cause I don't wanna see it interfere with
Well, I-
the Sunday church,
Right.
because,
Although they should never be parking between those no parking signs on the
No.
other side. And I think it'd be okay to tell the person from who's in charge of the AA that, you know, instruct them to tell folks where they can park. But
Yep.
also, I think I would tell them that they can expect to be ticketed or towed if they're gonna park between those signs. Cause I think we should enforce what we do have out there. Whether it's church or, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a reason we've got those signs there, right?
and the thing of it is, if we enforce it for the AA, it's gonna look like we're coming down on, you know, we're gonna make the people from the church walk
But
from
do they-
farther down.
The people at the church, do they park between those signs like these guys were?
No,
Yeah.
no.
So I don't think that's an issue. I think that to say that, you know, we have to enforce, you know, we will enforce the signs that
Just
we
for
have.
safety,
For
yeah.
safety. And also, you know, there's a courtesy issue here that they're parking on somebody's lawn and in front of, and they really need to park further down the hill and walk up.
Yeah.
Let's try that first and see what happens.
So I had a very pleasant conversation with the people that own the house next to the church this morning. And I offered them the use of parking cones for their driveway, or whatever you want to call it, parking area in front of their barn. And they declined that. They said that they were satisfied with how things turned out last evening when he went over and said, would the owner of a truck with a certain license plate move his truck? As I understand it, there was a particularly large celebration there last evening.
It certainly appears that way.
So there were people from as far away as Ferrisburg that attended, and, you know, they were
So
not.
that was an unusual.
A lot of people think that the house next to the church is in fact the parsonage,
Right.
which it isn't.
Right.
So it was an unusual occurrence, but.
But there's still, I've come through there several times in the evening from mowing, and they're parked on a normal night.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
should not be parked
No.
where the no parking thing
No.
is, no doubt about
And they
it.
shouldn't be parking on somebody's lawn and in their driveway.
Well, I don't think there's any parking on the lawn from what
Well,
they told
the
me.
tires are on the lawn, but it didn't do the damage like it did this spring.
Right.
I mean, it was soft this spring, and they did make a mess of it, and, but as far as parking right in her private driveway,
Right.
that was a little ridiculous.
That's wrong.
That was
And,
disrespectful
you know,
on their
and,
part.
So,
When we spoke, they
Yeah.
were satisfied with the outcome.
does anybody?
I'm not sure, since it's called Alcoholics Anonymous, how you're going to find out who.
Well, that's what I was just
the
gonna ask.
anonymous
Does
person
anybody
is that
know
you would want
who
to speak with.
contact?
Well, I hate to see everybody suffer because of one or two
I know.
Right.
disrespectful people, yeah.
Well, if this
And
was an
they
unusual
actually-
event, see, I thought it might be that summertime, summertime, there's a lot of people who come up for the summer, and people need to find meetings, and so they go to meetings. So I wondered if it was gonna be a problem all summer with a higher attendance rate there, but it sounds like it's a one-off event, and so maybe we see what happens next time.
Well, I still think I should get in touch and find out. I did know, I'm not sure if the guy's still in charge, but one of my customers used to be the head of the Bennington, see, I'm not sure if we're into Bennington, if that's
Well, you
included
know who would,
Bennington County.
the minister at the church would know. I mean, the church lets them use that
Okay.
space, so I would contact the minister, and if there's an issue of,
I don't have a number or name for,
the minister?
yeah.
Anybody know the minister at it's the-
Jim Woodward or something like that. Woodburn?
Can you try to get us a number? Okay. So
And-
Brad will get us a number, and I would talk to him, because if there's an issue of being anonymous, we could ask him maybe to pass the message
Right.
on to, and that way. How's that sound?
Let them work it out and see
Yeah.
how that works
Yeah.
out.
Let's
I'd
do it.
rather do that than get,
Yep.
and maybe, we're gonna have to enforce that no parking on the opposite side, cause boy, that tightens it right up coming through there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, well, and that's why the signs were up,
Yeah.
but let's hope that was just a
And
one-off,
let's-
because,
Make sure the sign is in fact still up. I go by it
Yeah.
many times, but have you noticed if it is still there?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, the one at the bottom of the hill is, the one at the top,
Or maybe we could have it so the
Yeah.
sign says no parking between signs.
I can't remember how it was worded, but it worked
But
before.
that would seem
Yeah,
yeah.
the logical.
yeah,
We'll take a
Are
look
the
at that.
signs sufficient to enforce the parking?
Believe so. But it's something we can check with the sheriff. It's interesting, I've never seen anybody park there before, so
no,
maybe it was a one-off.
I think that's,
So the other issue that, has come up in town that we wanted to mention is that, there was somebody in town who became, upset, and questioning because the, property that she had disposed of at the dump was
yeah.
placed for sale online. I did check with our attorney and I learned some things I didn't know. Like the moment you take your garbage out and even just put it on your curb, that's abandoned property and anybody can come along and take that. And the same holds true for when you take something to the dump, it's abandoned property. And so his feeling was that, recycle, repurpose, that's what people do. People take things out of the dump, and if somebody has the gumption to fix it up and sell it, I knew Margaret liked this. If somebody has the gumption to fix it up and sell it, and I understand that it might be painful to somebody. I know it's a little awkward. I felt awkward before when I've left, and I know that, my garbage becomes sort of public entity, but that is.
somebody's riding around on your lawnmower.
Could be. But that is, look at Danby Dump Day. If we weren't gonna do that, heck, then Roger can't work for us on Danby Dump Day. Half the stuff goes home with him.
It gets even worse. I just finished a biography of J. Edgar Hoover, and apparently Jack Anderson had people pawing through J. Edgar Hoover's garbage when it was out on the curb.
Out on the
And
curb.
J. Edgar Hoover specifically had his housekeeper put the newspaper with the dog poop on the top of the garbage. So he said Jack Anderson is lower than dog poop.
But I
Very
did
good.
call Rutland County Waste, and I did that on July 2nd when I was informed of what was happening. And he was gonna talk to his supervisor, cause he wasn't sure how it went. He said he knew years ago the old rules, but things have changed over the years. But they never did get back with me.
Yeah.
But you checked with the
I
attorney,
checked with the
so-
attorney and, you know, and I mean, it is, you know, I think maybe what's uncomfortable is that, it is.
Must be
Oh,
Charlie.
it's Charlie. So I thought it was a cat scratching. Do you? I do, you don't. You know, it's, so, you know, Cliff, he takes a lot of things and repurposes them and recycles them and, you know, and I did ask if we should have a policy about it, and the attorney didn't think we needed any policy or anything. But it is a good idea just to let, you know, people know that, yes, when you take your things to the dump, it is, you have abandoned your property, and if somebody else sees value in what you. Yeah,
Well, I got a nice big Larry Bird poster last year for a friend of mine.
that's right,
So they were gonna throw that in the dump, and I'm like, no.
yeah.
And we've always had stuff set out by the shed
Right.
Yeah,
that is
something we
usable,
think is
that
usable.
either Cliffy or
Well, this
whoever
might have been something
put
that
out
was in a
there.
bag, and I know that sometimes people go through the bags. I've had that happen. I've always felt a little weird about it, but it's like, you know, you gotta let it go. You know, it's, so, anyway.
One man's trash is another
Another
man's
man's
treasure.
treasure, yeah. So that may not, you know, that may not make people happy to know that, but
I will-
that's how it is now, and if
Yeah.
anybody wants to talk about it further, they're welcome to let us
Yeah,
know.
I will get back with that person and let her know what you found out, and, yeah, I know it's, like you said, it's, you see some stuff you threw away on Marketplace.
Yeah, I think it might irk somebody that somebody's making money on it, but then again, if they clean it up and fix it up and have the gumption to do it,
Take it, rather than making money, you throw it out.
I'm not arguing with you.
Okay, I think we've spent enough time
Yeah.
on this.
Okay, so Charlie's here. Charlie's
Charlie's
almost
getting
here,
his
okay.
paperwork.
Let's see if there's anything else that,
Did Paul have anything else?
No, I forgot about that. Good thing you brought it up, Lynn.
Yeah.
There is one other issue that we're gonna have to deal with at some point, and that's the water main that's leaking
oh, yeah.
on 86, Depot Street.
Well, and
Yeah,
if it's a water
already-
main,
It's already taken, it's in the works. It will
Okay.
be fixed next Wednesday.
because that's the water district.
That's
that
the
has to do
water
that.
That's the
Yeah.
It's
water,
a leak in
but
the
there's
main.
also,
The clay
if they're gonna
tile
dig
pipe
that,
is
the
the
clay pipe, if they're
town.
gonna do one, they may as well,
Yeah.
you know, they better
Well, the
check
fire
in.
district has nothing to do with town
No,
drainage.
but I mean,
No.
if they're gonna dig up the road to fix that part and the clay pipe is totally trashed, which I heard it was, because of the pipeline going in, the water main, why cover it back? I mean, it's gonna fix the leak, but then we're gonna have to dig it back up again at some point in the future to, fix the tile, so.
Well-
If we can incorporate it,
You
Get
have
both
other
fixed.
breaks in that tile that are not. in-
Which,
Yeah,
and
okay.
that's the call that I made to
Yeah,
Gilderdale.
David Gilderdale.
Gilderdale,
And I have
yeah.
not heard back. I'm wondering if he's still in that position, because I have not heard back from.
he said he was, the
Okay.
person I talked to said he was still in charge for the
All
state.
right. No, I called, several weeks ago. It was right after our last meeting when we discussed it, so, we'll just have to keep trying, because we really need to find out, and hopefully, you know, that's the kind of thing we can, and actually, that's, counts with water, that's the kind of grant that you could get.
Well, and we can ask Charlie too, he was going to see about, he opened the
Yeah,
end
they
of the
daylighted
drain
that
with
one,
a
yeah.
shovel, but
Yeah.
he wanted to do more work, but he said he needed permission from DOT
Oh.
before he did any work in the,
So we can ask him
Highway,
about
right
that
of way.
too. And then Doug's not here tonight, but Doug mentioned to me, he had done a little research and I'll just toss this out and we can talk about it another time. But he had mentioned that since April 1st, 2018, he said that he asked Doug Jr. to add up, and we've put $20,800 in the international. And he's just wondering if we want to revisit that. So I don't think we want to get into it tonight, but just thought I'd let you guys know so you could be thinking about it. So I haven't seen what the particulars, you know, what it was that added up to that, but
Yeah,
but
no.
Doug has it, and I think in
Yeah.
the spreadsheet if you want to see it, so. Let's see if there was Is there anything else while we're waiting for Charlie?
Dump
I
days.
have a question on-
Oh, dump day, yeah. Pardon? I'm sorry.
Can I just ask a question? Is there any, the culvert up there by the Four Corners Firehouse is up to the,
Oh, yeah, you mean the one that makes your teeth rattle?
yeah, is that on the radar at all, or?
The culvert,
remember to-
that's on our list because we're hoping to Bomeg and pave that whole section all the way to, just past, probably up by Doug's and Stevie's house.
Yeah.
And we've gotta have time to dig that out, and, yeah,
Yeah.
that came up 2 years ago and never went back down.
No, it's not.
And it's getting worse.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is. I hit it with my horse trail. I mean, it's like,
Oh, yeah.
you know, I slow down to creep, but yeah.
Well, if you swing over onto the southbound.
It's
you
better
can-
there?
It's better there.
It's not much better.
Not much, but it's a little, no, that's, Charlie and I talked about that a month ago, and
Yeah.
we gotta get it out, but that one there also is, I think 3 lengths of culvert, cause we gotta put it, we already talked to the landowner, and he don't want it to end on his lawn, and they want it to go right out through, to the end where it is now out behind the firehouse, so. But that's neither here nor there, that's just 2 more sections of culvert, but, yeah, that's definitely on the list.
I have,
That's good.
the reason why I'm here tonight is I wanted to make the selectmen aware that there's 2 very bad holes on the, right in front of my house. If somebody hits those holes when they need a car, they're gonna go into the brook, and somebody's gonna get hurt, so I want to make you know, aware of that. And they've
So they're
done
big
like
potholes?
that no, they're
Wash out?
right
Oh,
out of the ditch.
okay.
And they're getting worse.
Okay,
And if they've been like that for a while, and they're just getting deeper.
okay,
And the way the cars travel on that road, somebody's gonna end into the water.
okay,
And then the town's gonna be responsible.
Yeah, because there's a steep bank there, isn't there?
Yeah, there's
yeah.
nothing to hold them.
all right, I'll have Charlie check it and see if we can get some wrap material in there maybe.
I don't know.
Well, I'll have Charlie check it out.
It really needs to be taken
Okay.
care of soon, because, I mean, the people, just, once they come from the top,
Yep,
they don't stop until they get off the road.
all right,
Is this the same spot where we were trying to do work in the stream and shore up that bank, but then we ended up not being able to get the money because.
that's the one that, I think that's the, yeah, that's the contract that
Yeah.
they got backed out of.
That we had to
Right
give them
there,
money, yeah.
we're gonna do all that work, and then I think
Yeah.
I got thrown on the back burner,
Yeah,
but,
I think that's why, maybe why it hasn't been addressed is that we had planned, that we thought we were gonna get a grant and do some major work there. But it turned out that there was confusion over when Irene happened and work that was supposed to have been done that wasn't. And we actually have to give money back to FEMA. So,
This is a safety issue.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, I hear you.
It really is
Yeah.
a safety
Yeah.
issue.
I'll get them to,
Well, we'll mention it to Charlie
check
tonight.
it, yeah, I'll get Charlie to go over there and just check it out, see if we can,
And I'm not trying to be
Oh, no.
nasty about it, I'm just telling you.
yeah,
good.
no, I
What?
mean, that's all we know. you
I'm
know,
sorry I
but-
made you sit through a whole meeting to tell us that.
That's one go on. But it is.
Say.
Well, while we're waiting for Charlie, should we open the other bids on the, Parker Road? So we have those to look at too? Right?
Either that or dump day, you said you wanted.
Oh, dump day, yeah, I did want to talk about dump day. So we have dump day on the 20th, and typically we, you know, have volunteers that work, and Gary and I have always volunteered, but he's not lifting anything over 25 pounds, having just had hernia surgery. And I have anaplasmosis, and I'm back on doxycycline, and I cannot be in the sun, which is why I'm all covered up.
I took the liberty to speak to Cliffy to ask Stephen if he'd be willing to work again, cause
Good.
he's been a big help over
Big
the
help,
years.
yeah.
And, hopefully, maybe we get a hold of Jesse to see if, a lot of times they
Oh, maybe he is somebody
got
who
some
could help.
people down.
I'll email Jesse and let him know that Gary and I are down for the count, and maybe he can rally. I
Yeah.
feel bad because he does, you know, he always comes in for the,
Yeah,
the physical jobs, but maybe he can, yeah.
and we're not getting any younger, and I can't lift that much with my eye till it heals, so.
No, that's right. I guess you're probably getting more bloodshot, huh?
Like my purple dot.
I do.
I said, make sure you mark,
like a
get my right
laser.
eye done, left eye. Make sure it's a right eye on the left side. Yeah, my daughter says, you got a purple dot on your eyebrow, and I'm like, well, he said he was putting one in there, but I really don't remember.
Well, it's a good thing they do. You don't want to do the wrong eye. Yeah, all right, well, let's see if we can do that, because I'd hate to, I mean, I know people really look, Danby Dump Day is an important day for
Yep.
people, so. And yeah, but I know even just sitting out there taking the money in that sun, that's brutal. There's just no way I can do it. And
The other thing I would like to make mention of, and I know probably not all of you know my mother, but my mother will turn 100 in September.
oh my word,
And so if you could pass word out to get cards to her.
Sure.
it
That would be
be
very
really
fun.
Great.
do you mind giving the address so people who are listening can?
Her address is 18 Harrington Heights, Pollock, Vermont.
Okay.
5761. But she will be 100 and still works 3 days a week.
That is amazing.
And still driving, right?
No, she gave up driving.
Oh,
My brother's retired, so he
okay.
chauffeurs.
That's nice. Oh, that's great. That's really great. Thanks for telling us that. That's good news. We looked through the folder and did not see it. Here's the folder. Can you help us locate that?
I have no idea if I can or not.
Well, that's kind of how I felt looking through the folder. I saw all the specs, but I didn't see the award.
I ain't found it either. Phew, it's hot in here.
We need that
terrible.
long sleeves.
Since that rain happened.
This is supposed to be that really cool, for UV. It's not cutting it.
What things you got here?
These are our last things.
Okay.
Yeah, we're down to it. But I don't know how to, so Charlie thinks that the award was for 160 and, we have only one bid.
Daniels is the one that helped me come up with a bid.
Yeah.
He's the one that helped you come up with the amount for the,
Well, we sent out bids to quite a few contractors, right?
we only
And that
have,
was the only one that came back on that one?
so Charlie, to give you an idea, I'm not sure I want to say this. So this is the bid.
That's too high.
Well, it's kind of,
The bid, if a structure's the highest on a structure is 175. That
so.
the state puts in. This ain't here. It ain't here.
So, I think that we're going to need to, I don't know how we can make a decision about this tonight without more information.
Right,
So-
we have to reject them.
So maybe, do we have to reject them or could we?
What's the deadline on that, Charlie?
That structures has gotta be done by December or January 1st, if I remember.
So we
Oh,
need
okay,
it,
so we got-
but
we
we
got-
need it done before snow flies.
Yeah.
But, so we don't, I guess what it is I don't wanna wait till the next meeting to figure this out.
This is the list of what we sent to people.
Right.
Yeah.
I know.
Charlie, before I forget it, over to Margot's, there's a washout on the side that, cars, if they pull over too far, they can drop down in, the ditch on the side.
Where are we?
Over by my house, right in front of my house.
Okay.
Can you go over tomorrow and see if we can possibly shore it up with some wrap material or something to shore up is that on the brook or just,
It's on the brook side.
it's on the brook side, so we may have to get,
That's been is that the one that's been done since 2017?
It's getting worse though, it's getting really bad, it's getting over farther, people meet there, they're gonna be over the bank.
yeah, just check it out tomorrow and we'll get right on it and get some material or something in there for you.
I can't find it.
Yeah, neither could we. I'm sorry, Charlie, to have you come all the way down. I feel terrible, but, I do. I wouldn't, but these are big decisions. And so what if we, oh, this is a big decision. I'm not sure. Maybe we'll just need to have a special meeting. I don't know. But maybe, you and Charlie can look into it tomorrow to find out what the difference is between what the award is and the grant and make sure that, because there seems to be such a discrepancy between the award and the bid that I'm not sure, that we have the money for our share of it and
I wish we'd had a couple other bids, then we got something to
compare, I know.
compare, but, it's kinda hard when you only got one.
I know.
Not here.
So, Charlie, tomorrow, can we dig up that
First thing in the morning.
information and see if we can find out what the award was and,
Yeah.
and I might have it in my notebook, I'll take a look too, but, alright, so we're gonna not take any action on this, but let's open, so we have the Parker Road Bridge,
That's FEMA.
and,
Are you disposing of
you've taken off?
No, I'll look tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
are you disposing of the Dandy Mountain Road?
We are putting that on hold, so we're putting the awarding of that bid on hold pending finding out more information about our grant award. Does that sound right?
You want to suppress the bid?
Yeah,
No.
what was it quite,
I just want, I don't know if it's to make it public with your bid.
yeah, I think we don't, is that what you're saying, no? But yeah, I think that since right now we have only one bid in there, I mean, other bids, I don't know, I'm inclined to not put that in the minutes right now. Is that what you were?
I thought he was asking if we were throwing the bid out.
Oh, no, we're not throwing the bid out. But I don't know, let's not be too specific right now, because we just have to get more information, and I'm afraid we're just gonna be confused.
If Charlie can get the information
Yeah,
tomorrow, Paul and I are gonna meet with him Monday at 8. If you wanna call a select board meeting for Monday at 8:30 or 9, we can do this and that.
I think we can do that. Can you do that?
I can do it.
Let me take a look. So 8:30 Monday, so that's Monday, the 15th? I can do 8:30. Yeah. I'll have Janice warn it. Monday, 15th. You want 8:30 or 9? I didn't
We're
catch
gonna be
which.
here, we're gonna be here at 8 with Charlie, so
Alright, so you wanna
it
say
shouldn't take us
8:30?
more than a half an hour, should it? Go,
I wouldn't think so, cause
we-
most of it, I think we're already set on. It's just, there's a
Yep.
few of them that,
Okay,
We'll warn it for 8:30. Does that work? Okay. All right, that's good, and maybe, so this is, Parker Road. And I'm not, there must be a missing sheet of paper because. There we go. Sticky. That's one bid. We do have two bids. That's 445,000. I'm still very disappointed that we couldn't get bids from smaller outfits because they don't have their own engineering firms. And since the state didn't engineer it, nobody could really bid unless, they couldn't pay an engineer and not know if they're gonna get the bid. So it ruled out smaller contractors, which I think was a shame. This is Cold River, the other was Daniels. We're talking a negligible difference, folks. We're talking 438 and 445. So,
You said 445 and 438?
yep. 445 and 438, and the, and it's actually 439, it's 438, 920, and it's, I'm not sure the exact other, But I think we might need to read to make some comparisons to see. Culver is pleased to offer, we'd recommend the following format. Precast presentation of proposed design by CRB, acceptance and formal contract signing, project construction, lump sum as follows. Superstructure would be a solid slab frame. Let's see, do they go into what they're?
I can't read it, print's too small for
It
me.
is too small, I know. Based on the geotechnical information provided, we propose to design and construct a bridge utilizing a cantilevered footing-style foot foundation. The concrete footing shall extend 6 feet below stream bed and shall be armored with stone fill to protect against scour. The abutments will have flared wing walls at the inlet and outlet to smoothly transition flow through the structure and to protect the structure and roadway approaches from erosion. The abutments will be constructed using grade 60 uncoated reinforcing steel and Class B high-performance concrete. A new 14-foot wide concrete slab bridge deck will be constructed that has a clear span of 30 feet perpendicular to the waterway. The bridge deck will be constructed using grade 60 epoxy-coated reinforcing steel and Class A high-performance concrete. Finally, new galvanized steel bridge rail and approach rail will be installed. Included in this proposal are all incidentals such as mobilization, traffic control, erosion control, the same list that I'd read off from them before, and grubbings, et cetera, et cetera. The proposed bridge will fit standards of AAS HTO HLS 93 for load requirements, and all work will be according to OSHA and VTrans standards. Let's see what we have for superstructure. Would be a solid slab frame, approximately 24-inch thick reinforced concrete with side-mounted galvanized bridge rail. Overall width of the concrete deck would be 17 inches. I would think so, but the marking says inches, right? 17.
Yes.
So I think they mean
17
17 feet, 8
.8
inches, but, or it could be 17.8 inches, or it could be, so I'm unclear. Allowing for a clear distance of 16 feet between rails. So, yeah, it's
Okay.
gotta be 17
All right.
feet, 8
8
inches,
inches,
yeah.
yeah.
Length of bridge would be 36 feet end to end, which would give a 30-foot clear distance between abutments. Entire deck surface to receive silane waterproof treatment. Substructure, the abutment would be reinforced concrete on steel pilings driven to refusal, commonly known as integral abutments. They are the foundation of choice post-Irene. The choice of integral abutments greatly minimizes the potential of future failures due to poor subsurface conditions which led to the previous failure statewide of spread footing designs on good material. My experience at bridge replacement just downstream was clear evidence of extremely poor soil conditions. Roadway, we've included reconstruction of 150 feet of roadway, 75 feet each approach. This will include 25 feet of heavy-duty guardrail and anchors at each approach. Roadway will be surfaced with 18-inch state-approved subbase. Channel slope, stone fill type 2 will be installed with geotextile fabric for scour protection. All slopes will be seeded, mulched to assure adequate growth and stabilization. Erosion control measures will be employed throughout the construction process. And they just talk about their company and their projects and the bid. So I'm
That one's
not,
Otter Creek,
this is
or
Cold
Otter,
River.
Cold,
Cold River.
Cold River. They're the ones that did High Bridge.
right.
They're the ones that did High Bridge. So the
And
only
they did the bridge over in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So one of the things that I'm not seeing on here that I thought was a requirement and that Daniels mentioned was that the concrete wing walls.
Wing walls, that's why I was waiting for you to pick up on that one, but I didn't hear it.
Yeah,
I don't know what the other part, it didn't sound,
It didn't say anything about wing walls. So channel slopes roadway, channel stone fill type 2 will be installed with geotextile fabric for scour protection. Now, I don't know, maybe the substructures, the abutments, are abutments wing walls? So the abutments would be reinforced concrete on steel pilings driven to a refusal commonly known as integral abutments. I don't know.
Your abutment is going to be the face towards the stream.
So that's
So
basically your.
theoretically, depending on who's writing it, that could include the wing walls.
I don't think they'd have to put wing wall, they just won't have it run.
No, what I'm saying is, the way they've written it, they're saying the abutment, but it's it's one
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Instead of having a separate wing wall, it's going to be,
It's all one piece.
One
and it's that
piece.
same integrated steel piece.
yes.
So we would want to confirm that, but, you know, if we're going to award it to them. They're the lower bid, but by, you know, not a whole lot of money. So 438.9, basically
it's a
439 to.
Couple feet wider also.
445.
Instead of 14, it's, let's say 16,
I think it's 16.
16 between the rails.
And it's
Yeah.
another 6 foot longer as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, they also talked about the paving leading up to, in a way, I wasn't sure, did you catch that in this one?
No,
I
I
didn't either.
did see
Yeah.
that they,
Well, they did a great job on High Bridge. At least it appears to be. Nobody's fallen in yet.
other than, I don't know, that Cold Rivers,
As long as they're having a wing wall or some sort of lead in to the bridge itself, I would rather go with Cold River at this point.
I gotta agree with that.
Well, I would agree with that, but I still have a problem with the whole thing. I mean, this is a very expensive bridge to service one property. So,
We've said that from day one,
I
Brad.
know. So I have to ask what mandate we are under to replace what we have at the moment with this quote-unquote temporary bridge.
So,
We're paying and it's a bad angle and there's a
But are
whole-
we under a mandate to?
so we, when this first happened,
I know all that. What
Yeah.
I'm asking is, are we under a mandate to have anything other than this bridge that we have right now?
oh, you mean the temporary one that's there?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. That's, my understanding
There's
is
a
yes.
time limit that I believe that we have to get this put back to
So,
a regular bridge.
yeah. I think that the issue is that, so it comes to whether or not we want to roll the dice and say that we will be forever responsible for that on our own dime and not get any disaster help should it go again. And what's there doesn't have head walls and things like that.
Yeah, I get all that.
So, it's just was meant to be temporary, and as they found when they did the, digging, and they went down, 60, 70 feet and never found bedrock, it's
Right.
just silt. So there's a lot of reason to think that with the significant water events that we get, that temporary bridge isn't going to hold forever.
And I wonder what it might cost to make an offer to the people that own the property to buy it. Would that be less than replacing the bridge?
That was mentioned at the last meeting. At the time I last spoke with him, he had no interest in selling, but that doesn't mean that might not have changed. And we do now have a price. It's considerable acreage over there. So, you know, I don't know.
You mean buy his property?
That's what he's
He
suggesting.
will never, that's his family's
I know,
property.
that's
Right,
what he
but
told me
there-
when I
We're
talked to
not
him.
gonna sell that, that's been in his family for decades.
Well, there's lots of property that's been in family for
Well, there's some of
decades.
my family's property, and I know he wouldn't either.
Okay, so does he have heirs that are interested in?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's what I didn't know.
Yeah, he's got a son and a daughter.
Okay.
I know that when this first happened and Paul and I talked to him, that, you know, he was so gracious and wonderful, because there's a law that he could have given us 24 hours to put something
Yeah, I
in. He was
understand all that.
wonderful
I just
about it.
wanted to, I did not know
Yeah.
if that option had been explored.
Yeah, I mean, none of us are thrilled about having to put this bridge up, but, but we really did look into all kinds of options and talk it through with a whole battery of FEMA and lawyers in state, and they're, it is our obligation because it is a town highway. We can't change that unless we want one whomping big
Okay,
lawsuit.
so you're looking for a motion?
Yeah, I would
Make a
entertain a
motion
motion.
for Cold River.
I'll second it.
Could we amend the motion to be that, provided that we check and we're sure that the wing walls are meeting the standards that we need? That'd be all right?
It's all right with me. So the motion would say that we're awarding the contract to Cold River, provided that they are including wing walls or the equivalent.
Right, I like that word, yeah. Is that what
And-
you, Steve?
It's okay with me, I'll second that. Going with the substructures that they have though, because the abutments will be reinforced concrete on steel pilings driven to refusal.
Yeah, what is refusal? I don't know that term.
That's when they hit bedrock.
They're not going to,
You'd be surprised how far they'll drive pile until it's either going to be until it hits bedrock or until it gets so much resistance that they can no longer physically drive
drive
it.
it down.
And if the water gets that deep, there's not a bridge that's gonna last anyways.
I think that's probably true, yeah.
Is it cold, C-O-L-D?
Yes, Cold River. Cold River Bridges, Inc. I think. Is that Inc? No, LLC, sorry, LLC. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any
Second
further
it.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right,
What was the name of the other bidder?
Daniels,
Daniel?
Daniels Construction.
And Daniels was 445, Cold Rivers.
Yeah. All right, so we've got one down and we'll meet on Monday to work out the other one. All right. Any other business to come before?
I think my ride's here.
And
Oh, I hear motor out there.
Okay.
I'd hear a motion to adjourn.
Well, did the public have anything?
I'm sorry, yeah,
I'll make the motion.
I second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.